So I am not an economist. I don't know everything. I've been digging. I've been learning along the way, just like many of y'all. But I've been digging into this whole tariff situation that's going on right now. And my God, I'm going to share with y'all some of the things that I've learned that you may already know. You may already know. You may not have known. This whole thing is very interesting. But first of all, what is a tariff? A tariff is a tax that the U.S. government or that any government puts on the things that we import from other countries. Let's say, for instance, you are importing some goods from China into the U.S. So the U.S. is going to add a tax on top of that. But here's the kicker. We end up paying that tax, y'all. We end up paying that tax, the American people, the businesses, the consumers. It all trickles down. Like, we are all paying that tax. China is not paying that tax. I don't know why I had that thought process. I'll get to that later. But China's not paying that tax. I will say, I was thinking a tariff means that it's going to directly affect China in some way. But it does affect them, but not in a direct way that I initially thought. The way that it affects China is basically on the back end. So they may potentially lose businesses from American businesses just because we cannot afford to pay the increase on goods that we were already getting at a good price, right? And so it affects them on the back end. It's not direct like I was initially thinking. And so at the end of the day, basically we are covering that tax, y'all. It's if we don't have enough taxes. We got federal tax, income tax, state tax, grocery tax, all these taxes, and now on top of that we have to pay a tariff tax. And so for me, government and all that stuff, economy, that was not my favorite subject in college. History, none of those things were my favorite subject. I got no shame there, no shame. Those just were not my favorite subjects. A lot of these things I'm learning in real time. But anyway, as I was reading up on this, what you say, buddy? 3 o'clock. But anyway, as I was reading up on this, I came across something similar that happened back in 1930, which was the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. And what happened during that act was they raised the tariffs to try to protect the businesses in America during the Great Depression. And they wanted the businesses to thrive, and they wanted business to stay in America. But what happened when they added those tariffs? Other countries started to hit back with their own tariffs as well. Does that sound familiar? The economy crashed, global trade collapsed, and it actually did not make the Great Depression better. It actually made it worse. It made it worse. It didn't make it better. It made it worse. Now, fast forward with all this stuff going on. Now Trump is talking about adding an additional 50% tariff on top of the 34% tariff that he just placed on Chinese goods. And he's doing that simply because China had the nerve to hit back with a 34% increase as well. That's the part I'm confused about, because I'm like, how are you going to put a tariff on this country and then expect them not to retaliate, expect them not to, jump back? How is that possible? And then you're going to go and try to put additional on top of that? That's the part I couldn't understand, and I still don't understand, because I can't even put that into words like that. I don't know. And so I was trying to understand that piece, but basically what it sounds like is that Trump he's trying to get China to back down and to pull back, because he think that the U.S. has way more leverage and that we can ultimately take a greater hit, which I don't even know why that's on his mind. I don't even know why he's thinking that, considering how much debt we got in these streets. But he think that we can take a greater hit. And if our businesses stop buying from China, then maybe he's thinking it could tank their economy, make their economy worse or something like that. Basically, that's what I think all that piece boils down to, is he think we have more leverage, because for the life of me, I wouldn't understand why he would go and impose an additional 50% on top of the 34% that he's already imposed. So it's basically looking like a war. With everything going on, it's looking like they're trying to start a trade war. And so I'm just confusion, y'all, because this is too much. This is just too much. But I got to come back again to who is paying this, y'all. Who is paying these when these tariffs go into effect? It's not China writing a check to the U.S. It is the U.S. businesses that are paying these tariff taxes at the border. They're paying the extra fees. And so what happens when U.S. businesses have to import and then pay extra fees? A few things can actually happen. They're either going to have to raise their prices. They're going to either have to absorb the cost. And honestly, I think most U.S. companies, their margins probably aren't built to absorb costs over and beyond what they're already absorbing. And so the next thing is that it's going to get passed on to U.S. consumers, to me and you. And so we're going to see that rise in paying that additional tax, right? You're going to see it in the form of your groceries. Your grocery bill is going to be higher. Like, let's say, for example, if you are going to the grocery store right now, you're paying, let's say to keep it simple, you're paying $100 for 5 strawberries, right? $100 for 5 strawberries. So now when those tariffs hit, you may be paying $134 for those same strawberries. And now you're wondering, like, where my money going? Where is my money going? It's like a hole in your pocket, because where is that? Where is that? In turn, what is that going to do to you if you have to pay more for the goods you're already getting and not getting extra goods? To me, I think that would lead us into a recession. It seems like it would push us into a recession. And so that's another part I was confused about. And so I'm asking, with all of these taxes increasing and stuff like that, if stuff keeps getting more expensive, where are we going to get this extra money from? Where are we going to get this extra money from? The answer is, we're not going to get no extra money. If taxes are increases and if wages are staying the same, that means we ain't got no extra money to give. We ain't got no money. How do we maintain? You got to maintain some type of way. What are you going to do? You're going to cut back on your expenses, cut back on your vacations. You got to cut back on investing in extracurricular activities. And so it's just going to hurt. It's just going to hurt like all the way around. It may make you start spending more, swiping more on your credit cards, just so that you can have enough funds to do the same things that you used to do. You will end up saving less. And so in my mind, I was thinking, when millions of America start doing this, what is that going to do to the economy? When millions of America stop spending, it's going to actually slow the economy down. And that's how recessions happen, right? I'm still confused about that piece. Somebody help me out. If we are spending, if we are, just educate me on that piece. Let me know if I'm going in the right direction. Am I all over the place? Because I'm honestly so curious as to if this is how recessions literally start. Because it seems like if we're slowing down the economy because we're not spending, it seems like that would lead us into a recession. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. But U.S. consumers, we spend about 70%, I think 70% of consumer spending. And so if we're not spending money, that means that our economy is slowing down. That's how it seems to me. And I understand one of the arguments with Trump is that he wants to bring jobs back to the U.S. and that type of thing. And I understand that. But I wouldn't think that those type of jobs will come back overnight. Something like that can take literally years. But in the meantime, it has to be doing something. And that something it seemed like it could do more harm than good in the short term. And so I'm just like, all of this feels like a whole lot. It feels like a lot, y'all. One time, go ahead. And so also I was seeing, so many people talk about their 401ks, how their money is down. And that's actually very sad to think about, because when you think about people who may be close to retirement, maybe 6 months out, a year out, even 2 years out, that's not something that they're going to recuperate over that short amount of time, because we all know that investments are a long-term game. And I mean long term, okay? And so that's very tough to see. Whew, this video is way longer than I intended, but I just have to share this. But this is the biggest thing that tripped me out right here, is when I learned this. Mind you, educated people out there, those people who know everything, and you already know what I'm saying, don't judge me. Don't judge me because I did not know this. But here's what tripped me out. The tariff tax that the U.S. American people are paying, guess where it's going to, y'all? Guess who gets the money? Guess who gets the funds? If you guess the U.S. government, you are right, because the government gets all the funds from the tariffs that we pay, and it's all quite interesting, y'all. So anyway, I wanted to share my thoughts because all of this is so very interesting. It's actually making me want to start learning about history even more. I am a science girly, okay? History was not my thing, but it definitely makes me want to start just reading up on history, learning and understanding how things happened in the past. And they say history repeats itself. So with that act already being how it played out in the past, and then we're trying to do the same thing now, I don't know. Anyway, as a business owner myself, all of these things, they not only affect me as a business owner, but they also affect me as a consumer as well. And so I think it's just really good for all of us to stay informed. Like, that's the biggest thing about it. You don't have to know everything about everything at one time, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay lacking knowledge. I think we should always try to educate ourselves and to learn more and all those things. Even with what I just shared, if I misstepped it, if anyway, if I'm way off base, please educate me. Leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts. I would definitely love to know. But y'all, at the end of the day, it's getting real out here. It is getting real. It's getting real. It's getting real. That's all I can say. No matter what, keep the faith. Bet on you, because God already did.